Hello and welcome to Unstoppable. I'm your host, Kerwin Rae, and today, POW! We talk to Dave POW Tabain, who is the first person in Australia to come out with a 30-day challenge in the gym industry. This gentleman is a 3-time world kettlebell lifting champion, and he holds one world record for pistol squats. And if you've ever done a pistol squat, you know how hard that is. And he's also the author of Unleash the Hero Within. Now, I've known Dave for a little bit of time now. He's been actually one of my clients, and I've known him for about 11 years. So we're going to dive deep into how he transforms people's physical and mental health in less than 30 days, okay, which is basically like the biggest loser on steroids. In the 30-day challenge, he talks about how anyone can do it, but he talks about how he helps and empowers people to find their thirst for life again, and how accountability through herds is the key when it comes to achieving your health and your wellness goals. So for those of you who are looking for a little bit of a G-up around your health, around your fitness, around your nutrition, this is going to be one you want to listen to. Dave POW Tabain. Listen up. This episode is brought to you by Nail It and Scale It, the world's leading fast growth program for businesses. If you have ever wanted to grow your business faster than what you can right now, if you need to make more revenue, if you need more leads, if you need more clients, if you need to know how to plan your business in a strategic way in order to hit big goals, if you need to learn how to scale your business and grow your team and your business so that you have more freedom, then this program is for you. Imagine 3 days immersed with me where we cover all aspects of business, but we do it from an immersive but also an execution standpoint. We execute every step of the way. And we're looking at 5 key areas. We're looking at your psychology. We're looking at your marketing, your sales, your leadership, and we're looking at your planning and how we integrate these 5 key areas to grow your business and your brand quickly. So if you'd like to find out more information, kerwinrae.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome to the studio Dave POW Tabain.
Hey, K-Man. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm pretty sure I just freaked the fuck out of the sound dude. Yeah, he almost fell off his chair. Now, before I get you to introduce who you are, I'm going to tell people what you almost did. Most people would probably know of a guy called Michael Gerber. He's considered by Inc. magazine to be the #1 small business guru in the world. He's sold more ebook, what's it called? The E-Myth books than any other book in the living history. I think it sold more than the Bible. That's a joke. Wow. And when we introduced you to him in Maui, you almost gave the guy a fucking heart attack on stage when you introduced him to Dave POW Tabain. Again. Sorry, guys. The guys in the studio are freaking out again. So, mate, for those of you who don't know who you are, who is Dave POW Tabain?
Dave POW Tabain is it's me. That's who I am. And mate, I'm just a guy that's out there. Like my whole sort of tagline is just helping the good guys win. I'm out there helping people. Just in life sort of thing, like achieve the absolute best. And I've got this program called the 30-Day Challenge. It's one of the things I do. Yeah. And man, just helping people just be empowered, you could say. Like that's kind of cool. The gist of things.
Every man and their dog has a challenge today. Like there's a 7-day challenge, there's an 8-day, a 28-day challenge, a 30-day challenge, the 8-week challenge. But you were the original. You were the first guy to come out with the original 30-day challenge. Is that right?
Yeah, in the gym industry, there's probably a million different industries that can have challenges and so forth. Yep. But in Australia, the 30-day challenge, the program that I run is the original one. And yeah, that's kind of my name for herself. So
we know you as the challenge guy. I feel very privileged. I've known you for quite a number of years now. Shit, I was trying to think when you were telling me the story when we were talking. It's been, how long have I known you now? It's like...
Man.
Gosh.
9 years. 9 years. 9 years when I did your... heard you speak and Tony, one of the events Toby Robbins was at. Yeah. And you spoke and you were one of the ones that we connected with the most out of all the speakers there, and you swore a lot, so that connected with me. So, yeah, man, that's where it all sort of started. And we did the 5-day business mastery, which is just like an absolute game changer for me in life.
Yeah, right. And then you did Power to Create as well.
Yes.
So you're known as a challenge guy. You started telling me the story and I was getting really excited, but we weren't on air yet. How did the challenge come about? So you do this 30-day challenge. You've run it all over the world, yep, whereby you transform people's physical health, in some cases their mental health and their nutritional health in 30 days. And some of the results that you've created have been phenomenal. Like you're almost like the biggest loser on steroids. You really are. How did the challenge come about?
Dude, look, It all sort of started like growing up in a little small town called Yenko and Leeton. I saw a lot of people go through life and they struggle. They struggle in mindset wise, nutritionally wise, physically, and I saw these sort of things. So I sort of predicted if I continue that kind of mindset, mentality, and living standards, you could say, my future wasn't looking very bright. And so in that little town, I was introduced to the kettlebell by my high school teacher, Mark Elliott, who took me under his wing when a lot of teachers were trying to kick me out of school, and introduced me to kettlebell. And I saw that, and that was my first kind of vehicle of something where I could actually not only better myself, and it wasn't attached to like bicep curling in mirrors and the whole, at the time there's bodybuilding and marathon running, but it was a way for me to like, this is my first kind of self-improvement on a physical level. And then I saw I actually annoyed my sister until she came and trained with me, my sister Jenny, and she came and trained, and I saw her develop from training, but the mindset she got from it, the confidence she got from it, her body shape changed, she lost some weight and got a whole new lease on life in regards to confidence. I saw that transform her, and that's what I fell in love with. And so the whole 30-day challenge, I've figured out that, if you can stick to something for 30 days and start to break those habits and implement into your life, that's like the start. And so I really love to see people get that thirst for life and that hunger to actually improve themselves, and that's where the 30-day challenge come about, and that's kind of like the raw kind of start of it. And it all comes from seeing my sister transform, and I wanted to replicate that, and that's what beautiful. I fell in love with.
And one of the things I love about, because we had you run, I think the biggest 30-day challenge that you've run so far for our K2 Elites, is that right?
Yeah, one of the biggest, yeah.
We had about 180, 200 people in a room. And one of the things I loved about the challenge that you set for everyone is you made it real. It's not only very practical, but anyone can do it, especially when you talk about the mobility and the exercises. So from what you've observed, what is it that makes the 30-day challenge so potent? Why do you get the results that you do?
Well, the big part of it is it's simple, and the more complex something is, the less chances someone's going to do it.
Yep.
And so in today's life, where we've got more and more information, with more and more things that require our time, and that is I need to make sure, like, a real crucial part of it is it's simple and it complements the life rather than complicates.
Yeah.
Because this thing, it's actually, and I tell people in the seminar, it's not really a 30-day challenge, it's a 4-life challenge.
Yeah.
Now, if I marketed it as the 4-life challenge, everyone's going, fuck that, my life's already challenging enough. I don't need any more challenges. So it's just giving people a taste of what they can really step up to the plate and see what they can achieve for themselves in 30 days. Give it, like, it's basically a test run of like, hey, this is how you can live, this is how you can be, this is how you can feel. And then it's up to you now, because I've empowered you to be conscious about what you eat, think, and do, and understanding your environment, and then understanding outside of that is the choices you make really, and the decisions you make really make the most powerful impact on your life. So just giving people that small window of opportunity can lead them down or lead them up into, like, who they're, into their best self. And that's kind of what it's about. It's just being the best version of you.
Yeah, no kidding. Listen, you literally just got back this morning from Greece.
Yeah, man, we have a bit of a history. Like, last time I spoke, it was back from Italy.
Yeah, I flew you back from Italy.
Yeah, and then now
someone flew you back from Greece. So you've just come back from the World Championships?
Yeah, in Loutraki.
And what happened?
World Championships over there, the IGSF World Titles, and I won it. First place.
World champion. So not only now are you world champion, but how many world records do you hold as well?
Now it's 2-time world champion, 2012, 2015, 1 world record for pistol squats.
Yeah.
And then 7 American and 11 Australian now.
Titles.
Yeah, straight.
Right. So you haven't really won that much. If we're really honest. That's pretty impressive. You've got to say, and the reason I brought that into this conversation now is one of the things I love about you is, the way you live as a lifestyle. You don't live an event-based. You don't live on an event-based psychology. You're not, living for the weekend so that you can, change your habits. So you're very consistent, and I fucking love consistency. But I also love the practicality of the 30-day challenge, whereby you're not asking people to make drastic changes. You're asking people just to become more conscious and more aware of the things that they do every day, yes, and the way that they live every day, so that what they do becomes a way of life. 100%. So I love what you say. Like, it is a 30-day challenge, but essentially all you're doing is you're showing them a different way of life. Why is it that so many people struggle to make good health and fitness a way of life?
Well, check this out. There's two things there. First thing I was addressed is the word struggle. So if we start to use that type of language in ourselves, it's already defeated. And so struggle and a challenge is exactly the same thing. But for struggle, you defeated.
I guess from a marketing perspective, the 30-day struggle probably doesn't market as well.
No, that sucks, right? It sucks. But in saying that is, defeated, you become the victim, where I like to become the victor of your struggles or your challenges. But that's where the whole point of it is reframing it as a challenge. And with a challenge, it's made up of problems. And with problems, you need to come up with solutions to get around them. So a lot of people get caught in this thinking where they kind of like a downward spiral of like struggle, poor me, where really it's like, hey, there's fucking lots of things that are hard in life. Let's just have a look at it all across the board as problems, and with problems we need solutions. So teaching them a whole different way to face their problems in life and their challenges in life, and applying that strategy, it gives people that empowerment that, hey, like, fuck, this is just another problem and I've got to come up with a solution, because the only way to get around that problem is solutions. And so I call it a solution-based mindset. And so once you start to empower someone like that, it changes the game big time, like as simple as it is. If we start seeing it, this is a problem, what's the solution, and then start focusing your energy on that, is you'll actually come up with more solutions, and you'll become a lot savvier with your solutions and strategies. Now, the second part of the question, I forgot now what you're saying, but that's the main big part. And what was it? Can you remember?
Why do people struggle to make this a way of life? Why do so many people treat health and fitness like a fucking event?
Look, I think that...
And what I mean by that is, it's much like a relationship. It's much like a business. It's much like our health. Most people don't do diddly squat until there's a problem. Yeah. Most people don't do anything about their relationship till their partner's talking about leaving them. Most people don't do something about their business until the bank's foreclosing on their home. Yeah. Most people really don't fundamentally do anything about their health until, they go to the doctor and they get told that they're heading towards, heart attack or whatever. But I'm just curious with your experience, because, you've been doing this for 11 years now, over a decade. Mm-hmm. If you've been able to understand a little bit about the human psyche and the psychology around why people wait.
Well, check this out. This is what I say about it is, in life, if you sit there and wait for anything, business, relationships, whatever, you don't set your own time frame and your own deadlines and so forth. If you don't set them, life will set them for you. And when life is setting them for you, you're not going to like it. When someone else sets the deadline for you, you're not going to like it. So I like to say, okay, I'm going to need to enforce the environment on myself that if this does not change, even if it's a good environment, I set my own deadline. Like, if this is going to be taken away from me tomorrow, what do I need to do in these next 30 days? And I've sort of just seen that a lot of people some of the greatest people that I've seen and studied, is they set their own deadline. They didn't wait for someone else to set it. And, I've been in that position where life has set the deadline for me and people have set the deadline for me, and I fucking hate it. And so I just kind of come around with it that if I don't set their own deadlines, that, someone else is going to do it, or life is going to do it, and I'm not going to like it. And at that point there is, the positions that I want to stay away from. I think you probably even taught me that when I was coming to your 5-day business thing, is like, setting out your plan and following through with it, and actually having that plan out there. Because if you don't do it, who's going to do it for you? Like, no one's going to write your book. No one's going to do your challenge for you. No one's going to do the speech you need to do. No one's going to go to the job that you need to do and perform at. And so just rising to the occasion and setting that stand yourself. But it comes back to the question, why do we wait? And I think as humans, we kind of potentially like take all the best things for granted. And there's, that, what do you call it? Jordan Belfort, he talks about his, he said, how did you get so crazy in regards to his lifestyle he's living? He's like, it's kind of like taking a hot bath. You put your toe in there, you take it out, you put your foot in there, you take it out. Next minute you submerge and you think it's great. And I think a lot of people can easily, just with our culture, is, like drinking or leaving, partying on weekends and all this kind of stuff, is people can think that that's the way to success, or that's just life. But if you actually play that game, is your health pays for it, your bank account pays for it, and potentially to your relationships in that sense.
Yeah, it's funny. We had a sleep expert in here earlier, and we're talking about how so many entrepreneurs, spend so much of their life and their health trying to make money, and then they spend the last portion of their life, spending all their money trying to get their health back, and it's almost like we have our priorities out of whack. But what I find even more interesting as an entrepreneur, as someone who I consider to be a professional entrepreneur, if there is such a thing, but I I really can't help but wonder why more people don't see the link between energy and output. When we are in business, our value is based on how much work we can output, what we can do, what we can produce, the return that we get for the time and the resources that we have. But what I've found interesting is the healthier we are, the more energy we have. The more energy we have, okay, and also the more clear we think and the more better we deal with stress, the better we perform, the more, the sharper we are, the faster we respond, the better decisions we make, but more importantly, the more fucking energy we have. And that's one of the things that I pride myself on is I know I can outwork almost any motherfucker around me because my energy is so high because my nutrition is so, so tightly wound in. But what I don't understand is why don't more people see the value in energy?
Well, at the same time, a lot of people are governing their energy by the people they surround themselves with. So a big part of the challenge is you're a product of the 5 people you hang around, right? And so the first thing that I see and I talk about in the challenges, first rule of the challenges, don't talk about the challenge. First rule of the challenge is fucking Fight Club. Because the moment you go and tell people about what you're doing is, A, you're going to bring up the things that they're not doing. And one-on-one, you might be able to get away with it. But when there's more of them and less of you, and you have a different value and different belief and, you're going to do something, you're going to exercise yourself in the group. And, what I learned from you many years ago is, we're pack animals. So we're going to do whatever it takes to fit into the herd. But a lot of people don't realize their herd's fucking killing them. Killing in the way they eat, they think, they do, their mindset, their relationships, everything. And so they're governing by the people around them. And so you either got people around you that are helping you or they're hindering you. And you're also surrounded by victors or victims. There's and I also have another saying is like, you got to choose to get better, not bitter. Okay. And so a lot of people
you're like a fucking walking bumper sticker, mate.
Well, you should see, I've got a new book coming out. It's called the Find Your POW.
Right. Find Your POW.
Find Your POW.
Oh,
so
I love
it's
it,
just
Dave.
these little tiny switches on your mindset. Yeah. So find your little how do you get?
Well, it's interesting when you look at the success of the 30-day challenge, and I've seen it every time you run it. Like the success is incredible. Do you think some of that comes down to the fact that you're doing it in a community environment? Like you're not just doing it individually. You're not doing this one-on-one. Yes. You're getting groups of people together. You're engaging them in a community, in a Facebook group, and you're enrolling them. How much of an impact do you think that plays? How much of a role?
Check this out. What I noticed when I first started doing it is the reason why I did it as a group is I found it in my gym. I was teaching all this stuff every day for free. Every fucking day I was teaching for free. And you'd have some people that would listen, some people sometimes, some people not so much. Everyone wanted to be their best, but a lot of people, it would really break my heart in that sense when someone who I was giving all the right advice to would then come back and complain and, I'm not getting this, not getting that. And I know that they're not taking the action. I go, well, fuck, I've been telling you stuff. Like nothing more they can do. So it wasn't until I put it into a product and that's the crazy thing is information stays information until you actually put it in a product and people pay for it because then it becomes transformation. I think you taught me that. And so when I started to do that and people started to buy into it and invest into it, they actually invested in me, but really they're investing in themselves and that's what they needed to do. And how could you say basically, that was a massive transformation for me in that sense, putting into a product, But
then bringing the community around it, because
back to the community is what I noticed is, especially in Australia, I don't know whether it's tall poppy syndrome or whatever it is all my people were getting crazy results, awesome results throughout the year, but they were single. They were by themselves. So if they promote on Facebook, it was kind of like big noting. But when I get a pack together and they all rock it, and at the end of the challenge, when you've got 100 people all posting on Facebook in a local area, you own Facebook for that week. And so the power of that is people see that it's okay to succeed. It's okay to spend, this is crazy, man. And this, I normally say in this seminar, who here in this room got discouraged from coming here tonight? And a lot of people put their hands, especially in smaller towns. A lot of people put their hands up. And I say, who was it? And I say, I was like my mum or my dad or my cousin or my friend. So how crazy is this? The closest people to us actually bring us down the most. And do you think it's their intention? And there's no way. But because they're too emotionally involved, is they're trying to do the best for you. And most of the time, they've probably seen you go through so many fad diets and all that in the past. They're trying to save you from doing another one of these crazy things. Or it's really highlighting the fact that they're not changing and they don't want you to change because then you leave them.
And make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's their own insecurity. So that group kind of community side of things and doing things community is massive.
Yes, and it's super smart. And, I saw this also. I see this just in performance generally. You know, we are a pack animal. And there's a natural competitiveness there. There's a natural social pressure that comes out. And I know I knew you when I transitioned from my old business model to my new business model with K2. You know that I used to run 7 different events, and now we run basically just one event, which is Nail It and Scale It, and then you have K2 Elite. Yep. And what I decided was I'm only going to work with people in groups now. And because people say, but isn't the value in one-on-one? And I was like, you know what? But here's what I see. When I work with someone one-on-one and they commit to me, they're accountable to me. But when they commit to 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 other people, there's 100 times more leverage, psychologically speaking, from a social herd and a social pressure perspective than there is one-on-one. Yeah. And so I'm curious to know from your perspective, because here's what I've observed in the business environment. When I work with groups, I get far better results than when I work individually. Do you find the same thing is true when it comes to health performance?
Yes, I do. I prefer working with groups. And I think what happens is is people can actually look at everyone else and also see other people succeed. And that also, so you not only have accountability, you also have 100 other people that successes empower that person. And so instead of just relying on one, you got 100 or more, or whatever number it is. And so therefore the energy is so much better. It's like running a group fitness class. You can vibe off each other. You can really
but it's so counterintuitive because and I see this with people go, no, Kerwin, I want one-on-one. I want one-on-one. Dude, no, you don't get it. If I give you one-on-one, chances are you're not going to get the results that if I did it in a group environment. So there's almost like this value mismatch. People think that there's more value in that one-on-one engagement when in reality there's actually people should be charging more for group activities, in my opinion.
Well, check this out. If they want one-on-one, most likely they want to bitch more.
Or they want to hide. How fucking easy is it to hide when it's just you?
Yeah, especially
when no one's watching.
Because then also too on the one-on-one is potentially what I find is someone wants to tell their story more.
Yeah.
And then dump the story, and most of the time, or sometimes it could be a victim story that just getting relayed in. Where in a group scenario is they can't actually pull that card out as much because it's a group and it's all about bringing the group up, not bringing the group down. You don't want to be a downer in the group, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's where sometimes I sort of see on the one-on-one, someone might want to really play that card, and the thing is you're there to bring up, not actually just to play that card. So
how many people have gone through the 30-day challenge now?
Probably, like, if I was to put a number, it's well and truly over 5,000.
Yeah, right.
But the thing is with it is typically you have the kids and the parent and the father or the mother that also do it as part of that family.
Yeah, right.
So the greater impact of that is far from way over 5,000. And now actually, I now actually work with influencers in different parts of the world, and I show them the model and teach them how to empower their people better. So there's a guy called Dave Vitelli, Brown Butterbean in New Zealand, and we're on the front line of beating the Dave is literally combating childhood and adult obesity in New Zealand. Literally, a year ago, I was working with no budget, coins in his console of his car. But this guy has made the biggest impact in childhood and adult obesity in New Zealand ever to date with no funding. Now he's got some funding and running some stuff in New Zealand. But, I work with special people like this to also help them make a bigger impact. Because there's only one of me, but, there's lots of special people out there that can implement programs and make change with people. So.
And have you tracked to date the amount of kilos that you've lost?
No.
What a number that would be.
Basically, the average, I tracked the first 2 years, and the average was 4.16 kilos
per person.
Yeah, but the kilos and centimeters is a byproduct of following the system. So you got people that I call it you got the cause and effect, and so we work on doing the program, and the side effect is the kilos lost, the weight loss. That's not our
consequence.
Focus. Yeah, so it's like it's a hard one because people want that. But I literally just show people how to detoxify their life.
But it's the same in business, right? People who focus on the money are the ones who make the most mistakes.
Exactly,
The ones who focus on the systems and the processes that as a natural consequence produce money are the ones that get through.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing because it can switch. And, so like we've all been there in that sense, I think I've been there multiple times. It's like you do what you love and you rock it and you rock the systems, and then there's byproduct of that is money. And then all of a sudden, like, something creeps in and you're like, oh, this money thing's good. if I just had this much more business, I would have this much more money, and wow, you know, and then all of a sudden money becomes a goal. And, you know, you just got to look at, you know, once that becomes a goal, it's like all of a sudden the service or your quality or your love for it. Like, so me being an example, working in my little gym, is I would see my my little gym, and one person turning up at the start was like, fuck yeah, you know, and then 5 people like, wow, you know, this is incredible. You know, 5 people, like, this is amazing, you know, like, I can't believe we're getting paid for this. And then, you know, then maybe, you know, you get out to your first little shop, and then all of a sudden you got rents to pay and things like that, and all of a sudden you start doing figures, and then the energy you had for those people then becomes, oh, 5, is that it? And the moment that happens, then the energy drops, and then the vibe drops, and then the love for it drops, and then it becomes a chore. And then that's where I see a lot of people, and that's where now I travel around and work with gyms, and I show them how to get out of that sequence and back into for the love of it through having better systems and strategies.
And different focus.
Because,
you know, it's interesting. You know me for a long while, and you've seen me balloon up and down. You've seen a few of the roller coasters that I've been on. And what's interesting, I've had as a yearly goal for the last 5, 6, 7 years. For the last 7 years, I've had a yearly goal to get under 90 kilos. And that was, but it's interesting, it relates, that was the goal, right? That was the false target. Yeah. And, you know, and every year, at least once a year, I would dip under 90 kilos for at least 3 or 4 days, you know, at least 3 or 4 days. And so there would be these 3 or 4 days out of every 12 months where, like, you know, I'd high five myself in the kitchen when no one was looking. Yeah. But then all of a sudden my focus changed. My focus changed from, okay, I want to get under 90 kilos to, I just want to be healthy. I just want to have loads of energy. I want to have good mobility, and I want to be able to power through my day. You know, so I started focusing on mobility exercises and intermittent fasting, and, you know, dialing my nutrition in. And what I found now is I haven't even focused on my weight, and I'm now at 86 kilos. I haven't been 86 kilos since I was fucking 15. Yeah. You know, which is amazing. Yeah. But what it just proves your point that sometimes if we make the goal the thing that creates the outcome, then the outcome comes easy. But sometimes when we focus on the outcome, when it's not a process, like money, you focus on money, it's innate. There's nothing there. Yeah. How do you get people to focus on the thing rather than the outcome?
So in the challenge, I've got a program. I've got a formula that I use with the challenge. So you got like your eat, think, and do. And so the food side of things, I teach people how to build a perfect week plan, which is a really cool thing that just simplifies everything, has people saving time, saving money. But all they got to do is get that done. Yeah. And so like that's the eat part. The mindset part is I go through some cool stuff. But I find that when you get the food right and the mindset right, is you get clarity and confidence. And confidence only comes from having clarity. So that's the first step, is let's get clear on what we need to do. And then when you get the eating right and the training, you get results. And then when you get the training right and the training and the mindset, is you've got focus. So I show them how to implement these strategies into life. Super simple. Show them how to maximize their environment, and then also the fact that they make the choice is they're already here and they're rocking it. But you can still fuck it up if you make the wrong choice. But I show them this blueprint, and it's kind of, you can't fail it in that sense. And then also too, if you fall off, you get back on the wagon. But when I talk through that process and I show them that this is a way of life, and you know, give them all the tools, and when they walk out of there, I've got people that have struggled for 20, 30, 40 years even, and then they walk out a different person. Like, and that's a fact. That's what I got out of doing your seminars at the start too. Is, you know, I literally walked out and dropped a lot of shit and started a lot of really good stuff. So, man, back to the question with, like, you know, how do you the question was, how do you get people to do that, right? How do you get
people to focus? How do you get people to focus on the number one thing, which isn't in most cases what they're focusing on? Yeah. How do you get people to focus on the system, not the outcome?
And that's the formula, because I have a system for it. Right. I've broken it down, and so once I show them that and give them simple, actionable steps. Yeah. Is they focus on that. We do the check-in and weigh-in at the start and at the end. And, you know, I tell them not to get on the scales, because the results aren't getting on the scales. The scale is fucking about 2 centimeters tall. Stepping on that is like fuck all. It's not a box jump. Yeah. And so getting on that is very small. Yeah. And that's not going to get you results. And, you know, if you look at the pattern that people have been doing, they step on the scales, they look down, they don't see what they want because they're tied it to a number. And fuck, you're not a number. You're more than that. And you step on the scales, and if you're disappointed, you go out there and eat a fucking tub of Nutella or chocolate or whatever it is. What fucking system is that? You know, and so many people do this for so long, and they govern themselves by that. So just showing them how to throw that kind of theory out and showing them a new theory. Yeah. And, man, like when you see them... implement it. It's just like the proof is in the pudding.
And I've seen it. It's spectacular. You know, there's not a lot of people that get the results like you do. And again, I always come back to the thing that I love about you is you make it simple. You know, and again, perfect. Eat, think, do.
Yep.
You know, that's a huge part of your. It's really the 3 parts of the challenge.
Do you want to hear the tagline of that?
Yeah.
Eat shit, think shit, do shit, or become the shit version of yourself. And I guarantee, if you know any people that are doing all these steps, is they're probably talking a lot of shit too. Now that might even be yourself. So that's kind of the tagline for that. So. Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I learned the hard way, you know, because most of my training happened between, 14 and 26 when my metabolism was at its best. And, when I was younger, I didn't have to worry about, probably like you, I never had to worry what I put in my mouth. I could almost put anything in there as long as I trained hard, it would be fine. But as I got older, I started to realize, shit, I can't train my way out of a bad diet. Like no matter how much training I do, if I'm not putting the right food in my body, ain't nothing happening. And like the situation I'm in right now, I still can't train. Like I've got some injuries and I'm rehabbing right now. I can't train. So I've been able to actually get myself in the best shape of my life that I have been for the last, 25 years. But I've been able to do that by training in most cases once a fortnight.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I find really interesting is most people don't know how to eat when it comes to living well and producing energy and creating a healthy lifestyle.
Because who's showing us how to do that?
Oh God. So what do you see as the biggest mistake when it comes to what we put in our mouth?
Look, a lot of it is, if I was to say this thing, is anything that we put into our mouth to try and get energy out of our body in a short-term fix is going to let us down long-term. Anything that's a quick fix, quick release, easy option, it's kind of like having standards. Low standards get you low results. And on a Friday night or Saturday morning when you wake up after a big night is most likely, if you got low standards, you probably wake up with a hangover. And or something worse. I think someone yelled out the other day, herpes or dirty stuff. But if you use a quick now options, long term you're going to be let down. Yeah. It's a simple fact. And if you're trying to get your energy and abuse your body through drinking excess coffee, having these like high sugary kind of foods or your high carb options in that sense that are the tastiest things now in a way, and good food can be tasty. Long term is you're going to pay for it.
So how do we eat well? And one of the things I guess I'd ask is how do we set ourselves up to continue eating well? Because I know when you do the challenge, one of the first things you get people to do is
check this out. So this is where I was about to say it before. Yeah. And so in regards to food and success with all this sort of stuff, no one's perfect. With the challenge, I say I'm not the guy who's going to say you're never going to eat chocolate again, never had a bottle of wine or have a kebab at 3 a.m. in the gutter. That's not me at all. But the successful people too aren't perfect. And so the way we do the challenge is we want to do it 2 to 3 times a year after Christmas period, in winter, and before the party season. Okay, we use these periods of time just like an athlete would with competing. They don't train at their peak all year round. And so the main thing is you may function, 80 to 90% of your peak and have events and so forth, and you live a little what everyone says it and calls it. But the people that have the most success don't fall off. They know how to get back on faster. Does that make sense?
Say that one more time.
So a lot of the people that get the most success in life that I find, especially when it comes to food, is it's not that they're perfect, but they know how to get back on the wagon faster than anyone else. Yeah. So you might have the general person falls off the wagon every fucking day. Or just for example, they might be able to stick at something for 7 days, and then they fall off for 3 months. And so for that, they've only got 4 7-day cycles out of the year. So 7, 14, 20, they're only healthy for 28 days of the year in that sense. They're not going to get results long term. But if you can teach someone a go-to plan when life's falling off when life's demanding too much from you, where the wheels are falling off and your pressures or stress, if you can teach someone a go-to plan that you don't need to think and you just go out and do it, and you know that you get success, and that's where I call the challenge the golden booklet. So you know what to do when. So you have that choice. You're empowered with that. So you don't get sucked into the fad diets and all this bullshit. And so what happens is when people do the 30-day challenge programs, they might 6 weeks in, after the challenge is complete, they might have a big night. And they really feel it, and they go, holy shit, this is how I used to feel, but now I know a difference because I know what good feels like. Because a lot of people don't even know what good feels like. And then basically at that point then they go, shit, what do I do? And I've taught them, get the book out, go to your shop, and you've got the steps there. You've got the plan done. You've made yourself you've got an asset which is tailored to your food, your eating, your taste buds, everything that you can pull out and go do, and it's basically systemized, and you get yourself back on track. And so the best people aren't perfect, but they know how to get back on track faster than anyone else.
So that kind of leads us to the next part, eat and then think. Is there a psychology to being fit and healthy?
Yeah, well, there's a mentality to it in that sense. I typically say is you got two types of people that face any kind of challenge, whether it's a health as a challenge or whatever, and you got Johnnies and you got Donnies. And Johnnies are the typical people that complain about everything, and I typically say that Johnnies are the first world problem people, where everything that's in all first world problems rock their boat in that sense. And then you got Donnies, and Donnies are doer. And so I say Johnny's a jackass and Johnny's a doer. Donnie gets it done.
Yep.
And if you want to get successful, you got to be a Donnie. You got to get things done. You got to do the work, and you got to have face your challenges with an attitude. Where I normally say is you can either be a victim or a victor of your challenges, your struggles, and all that kind of stuff. So the mentality is you just got to have a thirst for life. And, I typically say is, if you wait for motivation, you're going to get nowhere.
How do you develop someone's psychology to a level where they can stick at something like this for 30 days?
Well, that's where I come to my seminar and you'll find out.
Well, it's interesting because, and I agree, I think absolutely everyone should go to your seminar to find out. But to give people a little bit of an insight into what I've observed is one of the fastest way to change someone's psychology is to surround them with people who have stronger psychologies than theirs.
Yeah.
And again, that's coming back to that whole community angle. And have you noticed that, when you get groups of people together, there's almost like this osmosis whereby, whether it be good, like positivity, or negativity, like it spreads?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. This is a good point that you probably brought up more to my attention than I probably realized in the past. But bringing people together and getting that sort of stuff is a huge part. Another crazy thing is letting people, when people buy the program, get into it, is they get into a mindset that they're open to change. And that's a big part as well. So when they're open to change, they made the choice. And then when they're in the environment with other people like-minded with them, that's huge. They're two of the biggest tick boxes, you could say. So if you just make the choice, you're already a big step of the way there, or that you want to change. And then the second one is surrounding yourself with the people. That's a huge thing. And then the rest is basically your secret sauce. Eat, think, do, or it might be attract, convert, deliver in a business side of things. And I guess that's I'm sort of going off on a bit of a tangent now, but in regards to the mindset, that's
it's just such an important component. And again, one of the things that I see when you do what you do is the way that you incorporate psychology, from stage, the way that you talk about mindset and the way that you use metaphors. And I just see that as such an important part. But I'm curious also how you transfer that, because one of the things that I'm very passionate about is how do you change someone's perspective so that you change their behaviors so that they change their life.
Yeah, just get people get real on their situation in that sense. And I share a lot of my own experiences and with myself, my family, and people I work with, and a lot of them is really relatable to other people. Go, holy shit, when you talk about motive, how do you get that mindset? It's like, fuck, we only got one life anyway. That we know of, that we can tell right now. And so, at that point is just having people be aware of that. They go, holy shit, what am I doing wasting fucking my chances? And so that's kind of another part of the mentality side of things. But showing people not to wait for motivation is another huge part. I normally say, fuck motivation, get desperate. And not desperate and dumb like your friends get at the pub on a Friday night, but desperate, smart enough to do what it takes. Not one day, 1 month, 1 week, but until you fucking get it works. We have this mentality, just say if you got kids and they're growing up and they learn to walk, you watch them fall over 200 times and you cheer them on every single time. But for yourself, you give yourself one fucking chance and then you give up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, fuck that. So we have that attitude. We're just not applying it. We apply it for someone else, but not for ourselves. So to showing people, if you wouldn't fucking give up on your kid, why would you give up on yourself? Especially when it comes to your health, nutrition, your mindset, is A, you can't live without food. So let's fucking master it so it's not bloody holding you back for life and struggling on it. That just sucks. It's you eat to live rather than live to eat. So many people have got these things around the wrong way. So just the big part of it is just showing people they already have and they already are enough to get the success they want. They just need a few little tweaks.
So eat, think, do. Do most people do too much or do too little? And are there some myths around how much we need to do in order to become fit, lean, healthy?
Being healthy is, I typically say is like the whole point of being in the gym is so you get a better life outside the gym. So you're not just living in the gym, because like in the 1950s, gyms didn't even fucking exist.
Yeah.
So,
and it's funny that you should say that, and I don't mean to cut you off because I don't want to ruin your thread, but it's interesting because most people are punishing the body that they hate rather than creating the body that they love. And that's a quote from one of our K2s, Jack Zuvalek. But what's interesting about that is, and you nailed it, we go to the gym so that we can live a better life out of the gym.
Yes.
But when I think about most of the time I spend in the gym, I used to punish myself so badly that I'd be hobbling around in life.
Yes.
And I'd have great muscle tone and maybe mass, but oh man, getting up out of a chair or, getting up out of bed, it was really quite difficult.
But Chase, you got to remember that back then, the goal that you were chasing, and correct me if I was wrong, was in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So your outlook was very much external. Now you're an internal.
Well, even 2 years ago, 2 years when I was training, I was like, I'm going to get back in the gym and push heavy things around. I'd be hobbling around, but as long as I can see a little bit of lift and I can see a little bit of size coming on, it didn't matter. It was like it was a real shift that was required.
I think possibly you also fully let go of the old training methods potentially.
And the old identity, I think.
Old identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to get back to that for you to be fit. This is what fitness is to you. This is what health is to you. Because, how do you say, like back, you mentioned about when we're youthful. When we're youthful, we take it for granted because we've got it. And it's only until you start to lose it and then you go, holy shit, I don't have the youth anymore. I've got to look after the body I've got. And it's like this pendulum, if you look at young people, they abuse all their opportunities. They've got their youth on their side. They take it for granted rather than utilize it. And that's where, I've always tried to not abuse that as much as I possibly can and appreciate every single age that I'm at.
So how much do we need to be doing?
How much do we need to be doing? Not that much. Like there's this movement called ZOO, which is all about mobility.
Yeah, 2 for ZOO, is it?
No, I call it ZOO. ZUU, not double O. There's a guy called Nathan Hellberg created it. He's over in America now. It's phenomenal body weight training. Now, we call it zoo and 2 is what we did for the K2. So it's literally bear crawls and frogs. 30 seconds frogs, 30 seconds bear crawls times 2. Gets the whole body mobilized, gets the movement, gets the heart rate up in 2 bloody minutes. So anyone who thinks they don't have time, they've got time. They just think that, the time they've been taught that they need to spend in the gym is like 30 minutes to an hour or more and multiple times per week. Just do 5 minutes. And that's where, in regards to how much do we need to do, if you just did 5 minutes of just 8 burpees, or you did the frogs, or like everyone probably listening would know what a burpee is, but like frogs or bear crawls, you just did 5 minutes of that every day, that's a really, really good start. Super, super good start. It's getting the whole body moving. So in regards to training, you just need to move. You got to think about too, the first thing that underpins everything, or the foundation, is movement before weights. Because if you're applying weights to a body that has no mobility or can't move correctly, you're just loading up a structure that's going to fall apart.
Yeah, right.
That's why so many people have all these injuries when they're, just potentially from beating themselves up for isolation exercise. They just disconnect the whole body.
Is there a way that we can hack this process to make it happen quicker, or is that question alone just riddled with, potential consequence that we're not looking for?
Look, in regards to the zoo movement, like the cool thing about zoo, like in regards to training, is the movements so dynamic across the body. You only need a couple of movements and you've covered your whole body. So if you do 5, 10, 15 minutes or even 2 minutes, like I mentioned before, that's your body sorted. And then you get your nutrition right. You crush that and the food start fueling your body with what it needs. The results from that alone is going to be just on another level. So a lot of people out there are fitness and training, trying to actually look good to their friends rather than feel good themselves, and be a part of something. And that's where I think we're opening another can of worms. I think the way of life that we're living in a westernized society is not actually, feeding us enough in regards to what we need out of out of our life. So we're trying to get it from other places. How do you say? I didn't really sum that up right, but I think that nowadays a lot of people go into the gym and they're getting their social aspect and kicks from it. But we don't have as many traditions or community events anymore, and all these different things. So now the gym is that space. So a lot of people are getting their
So they're going to the gym to get their social needs met, not their actual physical health needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people say with trainers is we're underpaid psychologists. So a lot of people bring their problems to the gyms as well. Yeah. So there's the way of life we're living now is their personal needs are not being met.
Yeah.
So they're going to the gym and taking it there. And so I still think that we haven't worked it out yet.
Okay. Sustainability is a big issue for a lot of people. That's why yo-yo dieting is such a common term. What have you learned about sustainability, and how can we apply what you've learned in order to use that in a way that we can, really make the results we get last longer than just 30 days?
Well, that's where when you've got a really good foundation, because a lot of people go too hard or in their programs, so they might go really restrictive on their eating, really one common thing is I've seen a lot of people try and do the whole calorie restriction kind of diet. And so what I see with that is they restrict their diet, they get fixated on calories, which is again the wrong thing to get fixated. Now this is applicable if you're doing bodybuilding or if you're into your body shape and you have a really good understanding of the basic needs of the body. But focusing on the calories, a lot of people get fixated on them, and if they don't have the correct knowledge, is what they ever do is they get so fixated on it that they end up it doesn't suit their life long term. So then they blow out and go the opposite way and just eat everything. Or you'll see a common trend that's happening these days is flexible dieting. Now, flexible diet, I totally agree on if you're educated with it, but a lot of people, the way it's sold to people is you can eat donuts and have abs. So I know the marketing ploy that's happening there. So what actually happens is some people get out there, their first sort of step on cleaning up their diet or, trying to get the fit or abs, and that is flexible dieting or the way it's been sold to them. They'll eat the donuts in within their macros or within their calories. But what happens then is slowly over time when you eat these foods, you actually build up addictions to them, and they're very easy to overeat. So the moment your goal becomes a little bit hazy or your focus drops, is you then start overeating in all the shit food you had. Now, when you had the calorie restrictions in that sense that worked for you, I wouldn't say it's healthy in that sense if you're eating all those foods anyway, but then you can easily just blow out. And so, look, I think a lot of people just don't have a solid foundation of their food. So
intermittent fasting, it's something that's making it's making a name for itself. I've been fasting since 2000, 7 to 10 days twice a year. That was actually responsible for a lot of my yo-yoing in from my weight. February last year I started intermittent fasting. I started with the 8-16, and now every week I'll maybe eat 3 days a week. I'll eat twice a day. 2 days a week I'll eat once a day, and maybe once a week I won't eat for 24 hours. And what I found incredible is not only do I have more energy than I've ever had before, not only do I have better mental clarity, better memory. There are so many benefits. There are so many benefits that I can't understand why this isn't more mainstream. But I'm curious to know your perspective and what your experience has been with intermittent fasting within a challenge environment.
Well, intermittent fasting worked really well for your challenge. So we did just Shannon Brenton come on and talked about intermittent fasting and explain the benefits and how to do it correctly and all that. Because, a lot of people are actually intermittent fasting in a way, but this is what I typically see. A lot of people out there are over consuming caffeine. So they're hunger suppressant. They're not eating enough calorie wise. So then the first thing they want to go to is really calorie dense foods, and they're overeating a lot of junk food or chocolate or these types of things. And so on the challenge wise, as I get people to do is actually reinstore basically 3 meals a day in that sense. And then if they're more advanced, they can do intermittent fasting like your crew did. But what I do is get them to reinstall eating enough food for their day, and then once they can switch to intermittent fasting, they got that sorted. But I think if you look at it, really, why isn't intermittent fasting even bigger? Is because what cafes can fucking sell that? What food? Because we're getting marketing with food from businesses. What business is really going to say, hey, try my fucking intermittent fasting food? Just come to my cafe once a week or once a day. who's going to do that? Because they're going to say, oh, you got to have breakfast with us, you got to have lunch with us, or you got to have dinner. So we're in regards to food, the way food is marketed to us is from businesses that sell fucking more than one meal.
I honestly believe intermittent fasting is going to only become bigger for a range of reasons. One of them is, as a society, we're so much more time constrained now. We've got less time. And I find, by removing one meal, I get an extra hour and a half back in the morning every day. If I remove 2 meals, I'm getting an extra 3 hours back every day. But I'm also getting much more energy. And from a business perspective, that's exactly what we want. We want time, we want energy. From a relationship perspective, what do we need? We want time, we want energy. When it comes to pursuing the things that we love in life, what do we need? We need time and we need energy. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, and maybe it's a fucking pipe dream, but I honestly believe that it's going to become an incredibly powerful way of living just because it's efficient.
Yeah, well, check this out. Is at a lot of time when we have another partner, how do we connect?
Food.
Over fucking food. So therefore there's the one battle there that's happening is you smash intermittent fasting yourself, but as soon as you got a partner in there, they're not intermittent fasting, they're like, what the fuck aren't you eating?
Yeah.
So then it becomes in the pack animal sort of thing.
Yeah,
there.
True.
So unless you got a partner that's doing that, so that's one little battle there that people probably come across in that sense. But the time-wise side of things, and I really hope that anyone who is out there is intermittent fasting is eating enough in the time that they are eating.
Exactly.
That's a huge thing because what actually happens is people go, sweet, like fucking 3 hours a day I've saved. Yep. Next minute they're
anorexic.
They're not eating enough. They're fainting at work, or you just definitely don't want that as well.
Yeah.
I
find something that balances that out quite well is once a week I'll just gorge.
Yeah, it's like a refuel.
Yep.
So that comes down to education.
Yep.
And so why aren't people intermittent fasting is they probably don't know about it enough.
Yep.
And they're not being educated enough on it. And intermittent fasting, if you think about it, it doesn't make the big companies money. If we look at it on that scheme, so who's going to have the money to market it, unless someone's coaching it? So Shannon Brenton, you should be developing a program for this.
Yeah, well, Shannon was just in here.
There you go.
We just did a killer interview on it, which was fantastic.
So, dude, bloody yeah.
So, supplements for performance, weight loss, fitness, muscle gain. Like, are you more of a naturalist in terms of we should just get what we need from our foods and have basic supplementation? What's your perspective on supplementation?
Well, check this out. Is supplements is a supplemental to what you're doing, what your current game. So working with Shannon, he's opened my eyes to many different things. So the five supplements we have on the challenge, and what I encourage people to have is get a good probiotic. That's really good for your gut. Get magnesium, so your absorption rate goes up. Cell charge, like Shannon's got. That's a really cool thing. You probably talked about that with Shannon as well. Fish oil is a huge one there. And the fifth one is I just put L-glutamine, which is just a recovery supplement. You can only have about a gram of it a day. If you get it from food, your body produces it and you supplement it. So they're the 5 main supplements we talk about. But man, I'm all up for anything that's as natural as possible that can also aid your health. So they're the main ones though.
Pain. A lot of people think, the old saying, no pain, no gain. A lot of people say sweat is just fat crying and you've got to make that puppy scream. How important is it to induce pain in a workout if you're trying to achieve, a happy, healthy lifestyle?
Well, check this out. Is another one for you is no challenge, no change. And so if you look at the body, it changes under an environment that forces it to change. So you either adapt or die. That was Mark Elliott who taught me that one back at school and when I was first learning the kettlebell. And you also learn from other people's knowledge and education, or you learn through the pain yourself of going through it. I normally say you burn to learn as well. So I've got a lot of these little analogies there.
You're like a Hallmark card. I love that,
I've got a book coming out
Dave's
with all this sort of stuff, but burn to learn. But that's where a lot of people are saying that aren't making the changes. They got to burn to learn.
Yeah.
And that's you either learn through education or that. So in regards to the pain side of things is you want to be challenged in your workout, but you don't need to go through and bust yourself up so much that you can't walk every single week. Like, yes, if you break into a new exercise pattern or a new movement or you challenge yourself in a new way, you're going to feel it. But if you're just beating yourself up and walking around like a wounded soldier 24/7 is,
But in a way, it's hard for especially the young kids coming through to know, because we glorify, if you're not vomiting on a legs day, you ain't training, and it's like, the hustle economy, if you ain't hustling and only sleeping 3 hours a day, you ain't serious, pal. And, we're only starting to see some of the consequences of that now. And I think, fundamentally there's a real shift required, because it was Buddha who says, life is pain, but the suffering part is optional.
Yes.
We can train to a point where there's pain, but we don't have to do it to the point where we actually suffer.
Yeah.
And as a result of what we do. So, mate, obviously with what you do, you're having a huge impact all over the world, not just on the people that you work with, but also their families as well. We have, I think one of the highest rates of obesity in the world in Australia. Is that right?
Top 3, I think.
Top 3. America's, I'm pretty sure it's still got... it has the Big Mac award for that. But what I'm curious to know is, how do we raise happy, healthy, lean, fit kids? Because that seems to be where the issue is. We've got this generation coming through now. How do we increase the likelihood of the next generation coming through, not having the same issues that we have? Because they call it an obesity epidemic. And we're talking about it 40 years from now. Oh, I remember the obesity epidemic. It was horrible. Yeah. There was pork chops and chocolate cake everywhere. It was terrible.
Well, I think, look, monkey see, monkey do. So that's where the kids are getting educated in that sense. And in today's world, we're brought up in a society where we have access to the best food than ever before in history. Kings and queens didn't even have our food. But at the same time, too, is with saying that, is we have like the good and evils as well, as because on the other side, we've got access to the worst food ever before in history. So what do humans like to do when they got all the choices? They like to make the fucking quick, easy, nasty, bad choice, you could say. And when it's put in front of them, especially at the beginning. So we're in a society now where these last couple of generations have been, the test dummies for all this sort of stuff. And I think the way I'm combating it or working on it is I'm trying to educate the adults, the people that the kids are looking up to, and showing them how to do it. And I encourage their kids to come along as well. And I encourage them that, looking after their kids' health is one of the best things that they can invest in. And that's the way I'm trying to work on that, is working on the people that are teaching the kids. And so that's potential. That's one way that I'm sort of trying to fix that.
Yeah, that's great, man.
In New Zealand is Butterbean is we're making the biggest impact on adult obesity and kids obesity, and we've got basically free or dollar boot camps over in New Zealand happening. And Butterbean has a whole team of leaders that goes and implements these all over Auckland and different parts of New Zealand as well. And that's having training, and we do the zoo there as well. And we have these places that people can come, any shape or size, socio-economic level, whatever it is, can come to and train in a really friendly environment where there's no egos. They don't even use equipment. It's just all bodyweight stuff. And so that's making the biggest impact ever before, is having good community people that don't have any double, intentions or anything like that. It's literally there to help the people.
No agenda.
Yeah, no hidden agenda. And that's what Butterbean wish he had, and he created that over there now. So that's something I'm supporting in a big way.
Mate, that's so impressive. It's amazing to see how far you've come, and I'm excited with where you're going.
Yeah.
And I've said this for a long time. You are, you're already doing great things, but I see you heading for much greater things than you've already done. Well, last question, mate, before we wrap up this great interview. People that we talk to, everyone's got their own take on how do I find the 1% of the 1% that'll give me that little bit more, so I can become that little bit more energetic, productive, stronger, fitter, faster, better mother, better father. In your advice, if you were going to give someone advice to become the most super version, if there was one thing that you should do, this is my advice, do this, what would it be?
Man, it's a big question.
It is a big question.
Something I'm sort of working on now is really find the passion in is being, like, it's a hard one to sum up, but being the best version of yourself that starts with the challenge is what you eat, think, and do. If you just get your food right and you get your training right, you look after your body and you work on your mindset, you surround yourself with good people, is you're setting yourself up for foundation to succeed. And therefore then your environment, if you can work on your environment, surround yourself with the people, hanging out at the right places, and working on your thoughts, your belief, and your stories and that sort of stuff, your food, your exercise that we talked about, they're kind of like the 5 foundations. You know, it's a hard one to sort of sum up. The main thing is fucking, you know, you've got to...
What's the one thing that you do every day that you'll never stop doing because it's a part of your success routine, that you just know that this one thing is just a really important part of your you know, the things you do?
You mean like in a nutrition wise or
anything?
Training? Or?
Doesn't matter. It could be anything. Could be on self, psychological, physiological, nutritional. What's the one routine that you just would never give away because of the benefits that it gives you?
Probably the first thing that sort of comes to mind when you asked me that question was to be grateful for the things you do have. So the one thing I can really encourage people to do is be grateful for the things you do have, because you know, you can accumulate more and more in all different things, materialistic and all that sort of stuff, but until you be grateful for what you do have at a core, is all these things will be filling a dark hole, like filling a black hole. So you know, as you no matter what success you get, no matter what titles you win or whatever you accumulate in a money sense or success, is still be grateful for all the minute things, you know, the small parts of your life that really you know, if you took them away, they're the things that really matter. Is, you know, never lose track of that, and therefore you can, in a way, you never lose yourself as you succeed and as you do these amazing feats or as you do these crazy things. Is you're still very, very much so grounded in what really matters, so you don't lose your sense of identity as well as you expand and grow and all that kind of stuff. So being grateful for the small things make the big things even sweeter.
Nice. What a beautiful way to finish. Dave POW Tabain, you're a fucking animal. You are a beast. Thank you so much for being...
No, appreciate it, dude. You know, you've played a massive part in my story and how I've come about and doing all your programs, and that's basically why I'm even sitting here today. So
if someone wants to find out more about you, the 30-day challenge, Dave POW Tabain, where do they go to find out more?
Mate, just go on Instagram, Dave POW Tabain on Instagram, I should say it properly.
The sound guys.
The sound guys cringe a little bit, but yeah, find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook, David POW Tabain.
Got a website?
DavePowTabain.com.au. There's a website there, and just jump on there and you better find me some way, or just search online and get in touch.
Check him out. For those of you who want to get lean, fit, healthy, happy, check out Dave Tabain, the 30-day challenge. The guy's an animal. And if you want results, check him out when he's coming to a town near you. Thank you, David.
All right. Thank you, man.
Cheers, brother.
Appreciate it.
Nice. Pow! Pow!
This episode was brought to you by Nail It and Scale It, the world's leading fast growth program for business. There you have it, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Unstoppable with me, your host, Kerwin Rae. And do me a favor, don't forget to drop me a review on iTunes. Would love to hear what you think. I love reading what you guys have to say. And your reviews make sure we keep creating killer content just like this. If you want to stay up to date with me and all my movements, please jump onto the website, kerwinrae.com. And also check us out on social media at Kerwin Rae.